Hi, my name is Tony Alarcon. I'm a primary therapist here at Evolutions Treatment Center. Today I'd like to talk about relationships in general and the correlation between perspective, communication, and trust. I think many times I hear a lot of people talk about this person or that place. They broke my trust, or I can't speak to them. Somehow we can't communicate. Somehow they don't listen. Well, I say the same thing 100 times and they never seem to get it. And there is the perspective of these concepts, the perspective on communication and trust. I come from a school of thought where communication, while it is incredibly valuable, the burden of communication, it resides on the part of the communicator, not the communicatee. So therefore, for instance, in this video, I'm trying to communicate a message to you. It is not your responsibility to understand what it is that I'm telling you, but rather my responsibility to explain it and communicate it in such a way so that you might understand it. And if for some reason I would fail to do so, then I would have to travel across the bridge over to your side and try to understand where communication broke down. What words did I choose that perhaps maybe you didn't understand a particular word, or perhaps something got lost in the translation, something got lost maybe in a face that I might have made. Somehow something got distracted from the point. So therefore, for me to properly communicate, I have to assume responsibility for the message. So when I tell you something, I need to put myself in your place so that I can listen to it from where you reside. That way I can cater the message to travel through your ears, into your comprehension, into your cognitive abilities, and somehow make sense to you, the actual message that I'm trying to convey. This is where communication takes place. Now in the response, much the same thing would have to occur. Because I might tell you, or person B, me being person A, I might tell you something that is a reality to me because it's my perspective, it's my perception, how I perceive things. But to you it might not be the same thing. I might tell you, for instance, I'm feeling some sort of way because the door was left unlocked. To you, that might not be a big deal at all because you're not concerned. You know that there's nothing to worry about, nobody's coming through that door. But to me it is of grave concern. Now, in order for you to return the message and communicate back to me your feelings, you would first want to acknowledge my truths as being my realities, my perception as being true and validated. Because if instead of saying, well, I understand about the door and I understand that perhaps somebody could come in, I see where you're coming from. If instead you were to say, nobody's ever come through that door unannounced, nothing has ever happened in this neighborhood, nothing has ever happened in here, you need to stop worrying about that, this is all in your head. Not only are you failing at communicating the message to me, but you're actually invalidating my truth, my perception, and therefore what happens to communication? It breaks down. Because now that I can see that you don't see from my point of view and you don't validate what I'm telling you and you don't accept my truths as they are true to me, I no longer wish to continue communication. Hence, communication breaks down. Now, we'll take it further. Trust is another issue that I hear about a lot in relationships. I trusted you and you let me down. I trusted that place and they let me down. I trusted the doctor, he let me down. I trusted my mother, she let me down. I trusted my father, I trusted my friend. I trusted my child and they let me down. Trust is another one of those things. The responsibility of trust is not in the hands of the trustee. The fact of the matter, the cardinal mistake, the primary mistake that most people make in relationships is assuming that somehow they have to place some sort or level of trust in the other person. The fact of the matter is, the only person that an individual ever has to trust is themselves. Why is this? Because in essence, if I can trust myself to make the proper decision if and when you were to do something that was disagreeable with me or caused me harm or was a detriment to me in my life, so long as I can trust myself to either address the situation, separate myself from the situation, use it and accept it as perhaps a miscommunication and put up a particular boundary and express that boundary, so long as I can trust myself to follow the proper protocol in my life to ensure that I feel safe in my space and in my place, and that I've communicated such that now you are aware that this thing hurt me, and if it happens again, I will have to separate myself from you. As long as I can trust myself with that, I have no reason to have to place my trust in someone else. They have to trust themselves. You have to trust yourself. So that together, trusting each other, trusting one another as individuals, you can move through the path of life and the relationship without having to fear whether or not you're taking care of their trust, they're taking care of yours. Have you done something that's going to hurt them? Will they do something that will hurt you? That is a terrible burden to have to carry. Relationships should not be contingent upon trusting each other, but more so trusting ourselves. If we can trust ourselves, there aren't very many things that anybody can do against us. This is the reality of the situation. Now, when we deal with the concepts of trust and communication, you might ask, well, but how do I know when I'm communicating properly? How do I know when I'm being communicated to properly? How do I know when I'm trusting myself or if I'm trusting someone else? How do I know the difference between me and the other person? How do I know where these entities reside? Well, we start by trying to find the seat of awareness in our lives, which basically means separating yourself from the center in your psyche where you're feeling the emotions, where you feel that emotion of a communication breakdown or frustration or anger or jealousy based on misplaced trust. I'll say that again, misplaced trust. Because if you place your trust in someone else, you're heading down the wrong road, and you might as well prepare for disappointment. How do I know the difference between whether or not I'm trusting myself and what's going on inside of me, and which emotions are adequate, are healthy for me? You find the seat of awareness. You find a way to step back from the place from where you're feeling and observe yourself as if you were observing someone else. Very many times we look at others and we're like, well, I like this about that person, I don't like that about them. Look at why they're overreacting. What is going on? Why would they take that so seriously? We have to be able to look at ourselves under that scope. And how do we do that? It's kind of like considering the chair, for instance. If I can see the chair, I am obviously not the chair. I am the witness that is witnessing the chair. I couldn't be the chair, because if I was the chair, I wouldn't be able to see it. Take your emotion and visualize it. Try to take a step outside of your psyche, 3 inches, 4 inches, a foot, 5 feet away, and observe your behaviors, observe your emotions, observe from a distance. Don't deny the feelings. Observe them. Because if you can observe your depression, if you can observe your anxiety, if you can observe yourself feeling the frustration, then you are not the frustration. If you can observe what you are feeling, you are not it. You are not a depressed person if you can observe yourself being depressed. You have now taken the seat of the watcher, of the witness, the seat of awareness, of consciousness. You are not the person that feels what you're feeling. You are the observer, and the quicker you can get to the observer's seat, the quicker you can start to quell those feelings. The quicker you can become a better communicator. The quicker you can begin to trust yourself. You will know what to do when you feel depressed, when you feel anxiety, when you feel jealousy within a relationship. You will be able to observe how you got there, what you're doing while you're there, and what you can do to change it, and how to snap in and out of emotions. At the end of the day, it is all within your control, because perception is within your control. We often try to contemplate the things that we can control and the things that we cannot control. But the fact of the matter is, there's one thing that you can control in any scenario, and that will always be your perspective, how you see it. So to increase your perspective and to increase your options for perspectives, you've got to take a step out of the emotional psyche and into the seat of awareness. I'll leave you with that, and hopefully that will allow you to gain a perspective on how to better communicate, who and how to trust, and how to view yourself objectively so that you don't have to wallow in any particular emotion that can lead to detrimental behaviors. Thank you.